very good afternoon to you, our cherished and descending listeners. It's another beautiful and blessed Wednesday, and we here at Joy Business are happy to bring you another edition of your favorite business development program on radio, Masterclass. Masterclass is powered by Joy Business and brought to us by Goyle. Goyle, they say good energy. Goyle, Yenara, Yedia. Masterclass is also brought to us by GCB. GCB, your bank for life. My name, as always, is Yaw Barnafo, and I'm happy to bring you today's edition of Masterclass. Today's show comes to you with sort of mixed feelings because we ended the Startup Dialogue series last week when we hosted that discussion here on the show with one of the renowned entrepreneurs here in Ghana who's an indigenous business person who has started their own business here in Ghana. Here on the show, we started with the Startup Dialogue series and we spent a lot of time talking about businesses and inspiring Ghanaians to be able to also run their own businesses. We had time to speak to Lloyd Kusi from Penta Foods, whose product was the Go-Got product. Good afternoon to you, Lloyd, if you're listening. We also had time to speak to Sewa Jamfiduku of Chop Shop, who was also here on the show, shared her story, inspired many people in that process. Then we went on to speak to Sule Amin Abubakar of Zako, who was also making charcoal for medicinal purposes, charcoal for all sorts of purposes, selling charcoal in all sorts of packaging right here in Ghana from coconut waste, all the coconut husks that we throw away and we do nothing with. Here was a young Ghanaian who was doing something wonderful with that product. And then last week we had a privilege of speaking to Christian Boachi Iadom, who is also otherwise known as the Pizza Man of the Chicken Man. All of these were stories that we brought you here on Masterclass to be able to inspire you and to be able to help you build your businesses. If you're at that point of your business where you thought that, listen, after all that they teach in class, after all the principles of management that they share with us free on Masterclass Pro Bono, it's difficult to run the reality of business every day. These were stories that came to you, original Ghanaian stories, not imported from anywhere, operating in the same environment that you are, to tell you that it's possible. They've done it, and if they've done it, you can also do it. Today, we're sort of back in the classroom, if you like, and we're going back to how to build a credible business plan, if you like, Business 101. Having heard all the stories of people who have been successful and what they've done and all of that, how are you also able to build your business? How are you able to surmount the challenge that you have? Somebody listened to the show and says, listen, I want to start over. I want to be able to do something for myself. Somebody said, I have stopped. I shelved it for a very long time. Now I want to go back and see if I can start. We're looking at running a business. If you don't have your own funding to start your own business, you're going to be looking for funding from somewhere else, either from friends, from family, or from a company that's willing to lend to you. All of these we're going to be talking about here on the show, how to build a credible business plan, how to position yourself, how to become attractive to the person who wants to put money in your business. To do this here on the show, we have a renowned Ghanaian who is a financial consultant. He's also the partner for financial advisory at Deloitte Ghana. He's the person of Mr. Yaw Appiah Lartey. Good afternoon, Yaw. You're welcome to today's conversation.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
I'm happy to have you because I've sort of seen you speak on other platforms and other fora, and you're always a welcome face. It's one of those faces that you meet for the first time and think you've known forever.
Yes,
so we're happy to have you here on the show. I mean, obviously, our listeners are business people. Our listeners are ordinary Ghanaians who are building their businesses and trying to make things stick in an otherwise what they refer to as a difficult environment. But difficult or not, it doesn't cut you any slack. The sun rose today. It is going to set. Whether or not you stayed in your bed or you went out to work, the sun is going to set. At the end of the day, there's going to be a reckoning. What do you have to show for the day? It rained a lot yesterday. Mm-hmm. Whether or not you were able to open your shop, there was a reckoning at the end of the day. If you're a father, you're a provider, you're a breadwinner. Your children or your dependents will be looking at you and thinking, okay, it's the end of the day. What's going to happen? If you were a business owner, your workers were going to say, okay, we've checked in today. It rained, we didn't open shop, but we expect you to pay us for doing literally nothing today. But that's why you are the business owner. How, as a business owner, do you put together a plan that's credible? That's, when we say credibility, we're talking about integrity, we're talking about ethics, we're talking about something that's attractive, something that is true. Those are the English explanations I can put to it, but you are the finance person. For the next couple of minutes, talk to us, help us understand, to all of my listeners who are with us this afternoon, how do you put together a credible business plan? Business 101, if you like. And if you just joined us, this is Masterclass. We're also streaming live on Facebook. At some point, we will get interactive, but otherwise, we'll listen to Yaw here, and as he shares some thoughts with us. Yaw, please go ahead.
Okay, so thank you very much. I think it's important we put the word credible before the business plan, because there are so many people who've got stuff on their laptops, in their offices that they call business plans, but they are not business plans.
They are something else.
They are something else. So there are things that someone has gone to download on the internet, and you see a business plan about a food vendor or for a food vendor, and in there it's got an IT information. So you can see the person just did a cut and paste. So a credible business plan, in business circle we call it a bankable business plan. That means that it's a business plan that you can use to achieve the objective of a business plan. The main objective of a business plan is to sell a message to an investor or a fund provider that your business is worth investing in. And that is why your business plan has to be credible, because the person who is giving you the money, the person who is coming to partner with you, the person who is bringing the technology into your business has to understand that, one, the people I'm going to do business with are people who are credible, who've got integrity, and your numbers are not fudged. So you've made profit of 20,000 in the previous year, because you are in a very difficult situation and you want 1 million Ghana cedis instead of a 500,000 that your financial statement is saying you need. You have fudged the numbers. So your sales, you have doubled it. Your pricing, you have increased it. And sometimes what we forget is that as we speak, information is readily available.
Yes.
If you are operating, let's say, in a food manufacturing sector, I can go online. There's a subscription that we have. We can tell the margins that entities who are operating in your sector make on annual basis,
Benchmark
on month,
information.
and benchmark it. So if you tell me that in your area that you operate in, you are making margin of 50%, the first question I'll ask you, where are you getting your raw materials from?
Where are you even selling your? Who are you selling?
And who are you selling to?
Maybe
An
you're
odd
selling them
price.
to angels or to.
Yes. So I think a lot of people, like I said, have got stuff on their laptops, stuff in their office they call business plan, but those are not business plans. They are things that they have, their vision. They are things that they put on paper. Yes, it's good to put your vision on paper, but for it to be credible, it has to go through certain criteria. It has to reflect some hallmark, and then I think that's what we are going to discuss a lot more
Right.
this
So
afternoon.
keep the main things the main thing. And like you said earlier, the purpose of a business plan is to sell the plan of the business to an investor, to a would-be
Yes.
investor. If you were an investor, would you put money in the business that you want to set up? If you had a business plan and you were selling this plan to yourself, would you put your money in it? It's to be able to convince that person who's listening that, listen, this is what I'm going to do. It's a great thing. Come along with me and work with me so that we're both able to. And I think that is absolutely important to be able to keep that in mind. Let's keep the main things the main thing. There's also another point here that sort of came to my mind as you spoke. And it's for us to understand that the terrain and the world at large is changing. So, the cut and paste and the stereotype, it has to also change. The things that you learnt in business school, even 2 years ago, today they are different. So you learned how to do things in a certain way. Because people are changing and the narrative is changing across the landscapes, the expectation is also changing.
Yes.
So you cannot use the things you learned at University of Ghana 2004. Today, you want to write a business plan. You are using the same narrative.
Yes.
It is completely obsolete.
Yes.
Expectations are different. Even you as a customer, your customer behavior has changed.
Excellent.
It has changed over the last couple
That's
of
a very good point.
So it's important to understand that things are a bit more fluid now. They are changing faster, and the relevance is absolutely important. You keep up with the pace, or you lose out completely. Yeah,
that's true.
Talk to us.
So I think that's a very good point you've made. So business owners are able to tell their story, but I think like you see a lot of people who write books for others, they get the right designers who are able to make the thing a high impact book or output. So you're able to tell your story, get someone to write it and write it well for you. You don't necessarily have to pay so much for someone to design your business plan for you. You would have a business or a manufacturing company. You want to include photos of some sections of your business. Get a professional photographer to take photos, edit them, and put them in the business plan. Sometimes I see investors who just see the business plan, they don't read the content, they say, this is good quality. Why? Because the look and feel of the document has made an impact. So that's where you start from. The look and feel of the document that you are sending out should make an impact. And then you come to the content. So in terms of content, there are certain basic things that every business plan should have.
Right.
First is a profile or a background of the company. So I should be able to understand when you started your operations, how long you've been in business, what products you offer to the market. How long you have been in business is very important, particularly for a lot of investors, because the business cycle is such that if you have not been in that business for about 3 years, you will not appreciate the cycles of your business. So if today I am selling nose mask and I want to get financing from a bank, 3 years ago, nose mask was not something that people were really interested in. A year or two ago, the demand rose and it's very significant. Now, the demand for nose mask is not as it was
used to
a
be.
year. That's the thing. So, if you are in the business of nose mask, you should have been operating at least 3 years. So, for most investors, if you have not been operating for about 3 years, they see it as a potential risk. After you've gone through the cycle of COVID and post-COVID, then you are able to tell that this is your stable revenue that you can make. There will be a time that there are spikes in your revenue. There will be a time that they'll drop down in your business. So that's the background of the company. Secondly, you should also describe your team. Profile of directors. This is where a lot of businesses fall short, because it's a time to appoint friends who don't even attend meetings, who don't even show up at the office. We have businesses who, instead of engaging professional accountants, would want to use some wayside people to come and prepare something for them. And so when the tax authorities are coming, there's a different accountant who comes to prepare. And then when other people are looking for something, he also goes. So you have to get professionals in your team. Your team sells your business. Your business can be making profit, but if you have the wrong team, within a period of a year or two, it will go down. So you should have a profile of your team, both the management team and the board of directors. Your board of directors should reflect a fair balance, both in gender and background. So you should not have board of directors who are essentially all lawyers, who are all accountants, who are all bankers. It has to be reflect a various backgrounds. You should have engineering, you should have risk people, you should have financial people, you should have legal on your board. And so when you sell that to an investor, they get a lot of confidence that these guys really know what they're about and they have the right team. The third one is governance. You should show who is in charge of what. If you have the right people handling affairs, it gives comfort to investors. It gives comfort to people who want to come into the partnership. Investors, in the context of investors, you are not only talking about people who are bringing money. There are people who are bringing technology. They are bringing technical know-how into your business. So if there's a proper governance system, it gives comfort to them. You should have proper corporate governance. And I think the last few years in Ghana here, we have always been talking about bad corporate governance that has led to failure of some banks. That is because, obviously, we didn't have the right governance framework. People were not monitoring who was in charge of what and so on and so forth. So you should have a proper governance framework. And then we have the product and services. If you are selling services, if you are a hotel, if you are into consultancy, if you are providing any form of service, you should be able to describe all the services that you are offering. Same with your products. So what type of products you have. If you say baby food, you should describe all the different types of baby food that you have, and sometimes where you are getting the baby food from. Currently or recently, we know that for certain countries, when you import certain products, it's considered as inferior. So someone will say, my baby products are all European. That is able to sell the business relative to someone who says he's getting from another territory. So that's a very important thing to describe. And then you have what we call procurement and manufacturing strategy. So if you are a manufacturing business, where do you source your raw materials from? You can make a very good point that you are doing local content. All your raw materials are sourced locally. That is a very good point to sell. It's a very good selling point because you are not exposed to the exchange rate. For someone who says, I import all my raw materials, the person, for every depreciation of the currency, the person suffers. And so you would have to go through that issue that headache of trying to resolve the currency issue. Then the second or the next point is your clients or your customers. who are your customers and your clients. I think one thing that you should be mindful of is, as a business, if you have what we call concentration risk with one client, you have to find a way to resolve that issue. For most business, let's say you sell books and you sign on to a contract with a particular school, that for every academic year you are the one who supplies the books to the school. Tomorrow, if there's a change in administration, they change the headmaster, they change the headmistress in that school, and the person or the headmistress decides to buy from somewhere else, you've lost your business. You don't have any business. So you should avoid concentration risk. Your clients and your customers should be various or should be varied. So you should avoid a situation where there's only one client that's bringing you more than 50% of your sales revenue. If you have that situation, work towards diversifying your client or your portfolio of customers. Then the next one is your marketing strategy. How do you get your product to your customers? Lately, there are cheaper ways to market, and I think COVID has taught us and has pushed us to be strategic in our marketing efforts. So I recall a friend of mine started a business, and he said he's going to raise, he needed 2,000 Ghana cedis to pay a radio station to start advertising his product. I'm like, oh, really? And he was going to borrow that money to be able to do that. I'm like, your business actually needs that money, not the radio station or the TV station that you're going to advertise on. If you deliver quality, it will drive customers to your business. And so don't be so particular about advertising. When your business gets to a certain level, you will see that paying for the cost of adverts, whether on Joy FM, Joy News and all, will be so cheap and so easy for you to pay because it will not be a burden for you. But if you're a startup, you should consider the ways or cheaper ways of advertising. Now you can advertise on platforms, you can advertise on social media, and these are not paid for. All you need is data, and you are just on the go. Now, the last is competition. For most investors that we interact with, anytime you sell the idea that there's a business that they should invest in, the first question they ask is, what is their market share? So if you are a water producing company, there are a lot of water producing companies in Ghana here. So what's your market share? In fact, some investors are so particular that they ask what is their market share in Greater Accra, what's their market share in Ashanti region, what's their market share in
They don't want
Northern
a blanket
region.
ombudsman.
That's the thing. So if you sit in Accra here and you say you have 50% of the market, and then you drive to Koforidua and you don't see any of your product, then really you don't have the 50% of the market as you say, because you only have 50% of Accra market share and not Ghana's market share. So competition is very important, and the competition issue is driven by one key concern to investors: who controls the price. In, let's say, water manufacturing company, using that example, there is a particular manufacturer of water that controls the price. Tomorrow, if they decide to sell their medium water bottles for 2 cedis, all others will follow. If you decide to sell yours for 3 cedis, nobody will buy. And so they are the market leaders. They control the market. So if you have a significant proportion of the market, you control the price. You control the movement of goods and services. You control a lot of the stuff. So you should be mindful of what competitors are doing or what they intend to do. And then the last thing I also want to be sure, or I want a lot of listeners to be mindful of what we call regulation or laws. As we speak, government may be considering a bill that is likely to affect your business. You should be looking out for those regulations or laws that are yet to come. I'll give you a very good example. A friend of mine started a business with another colleague in Kenya. Unknown to them, the Kenyan government had or was in the process of passing a bill that was going to ban distribution of food and then beverages in sachet water. And they enforced that law. So distribution of food and beverages in sachet water were banned in Kenya. And their business was going to be distribution of food and beverages in sachet water. And so as soon as the law came into force, they didn't have any business.
It was dead in the water.
Yes. So there's something that the investors are mindful of: is who are the regulators in your sector and what kind of law is coming up that's likely to affect your business. So your business plan should be speaking to all these areas. And when you put a business plan on the table, like I said, a lot of the people who are listening to us, I'm sure they now know that they don't have a business plan anymore because they didn't have, if they were scoring themselves, if it's 1/10, I'm sure some of them will score 2 or 3 or something. Yeah, so I think it's something that we should be mindful of, all these points that I've made.
I don't see projections for business volumes within, sometimes they'll tell you when you go to some of these consultants, they'll tell you What is your projection for the first couple of years? If I give you this money, what are your projections, XYZ? Where does that fit into this process?
Good. So I think that is what we call the financial components of your business plan.
Right.
So what I've just described is what we call the abstract, the story, telling your story.
Okay.
The financial projection or your financial results, it's also a different category of it. So for most business plans that are of very strong value, what they do is that there is a separate financial model or financial projection in Excel that is sent together with the business plan document.
Right.
Because I want to understand for the last 3 years how much revenue you have made, and then going forward how much you project to make. So your financial projection actually captures your historical financial performance and your projected financial performance. So at the revenue level, make sure you have described to the investor on a granular basis your price and quantity. Every business that is listening or every business that's in Ghana or the world over has two components on revenue or their income. It's what we call the price and quantity, or volume and fees and charges. So if you are operating in the hotel sector, the first one is your occupancy. How many rooms do you have? I have 20,000 rooms. How much do you charge in your standard room? What's your occupancy rate? So these are the things that affect your price and quantity. If you are selling water, how many units do you want to sell in cartons, in bottles and all? So that's your price and quantity. Then you come to your cost. We have what we call cost of sales or direct cost. Your cost components should also describe what your direct costs are. So if you are manufacturing, your direct costs are your cost of the raw materials. Now, if you are sourcing your raw materials,
overheads form part of the direct costs.
No. So your overheads will come after the direct costs.
Right.
So your direct costs are those that we say directly attributable to the product that you are sending to the market. Okay. So you buy your raw materials. The raw materials
so
are part
bottles,
of the
product. If I'm a sub seller,
yes.
for example, the empty bottles are
the empty bottles are yes. And
the
then
ingredients.
the ingredients you buy, all the ginger and all those things that you put in your sobolo, they are all part of your direct cost.
Right.
And then, so like I said, your direct cost is something that will drive your selling price. Right. Remember, if your raw materials cost you 1 cedi, you can only sell your product for 1 cedi 20 pesos or 1 cedi 50 pesos or something. So if you are sourcing your raw materials,
Ghana they sell it for 3 cedis. So if they put it at 1 cedi,
that's the thing.
Super normal.
So what that means is that if that's a driver of your price, make sure you control your direct cost. If you don't control your direct cost, your product will be too expensive. So imagine your competitors are selling for 1 cedi 50 pesos, and your direct cost alone is 1 cedi 50 pesos. It means that if you go to market, you are not going to make any margins or profits. So you have to watch your direct cost. Like I said, some raw materials can be sourced locally. It can be sourced from the market or the environment that you find yourself. So try and then make sure you are managing your direct costs. So your raw materials for your sobolo, make sure you are buying them from around, or you are buying them in large quantities to take advantage of discount. So if it's ginger that you need, you buy bags or buy in bulk, so that you take advantage shelf life and all. Then you can manufacture. If you just wait so when you are in dire need of it and you go to market, you'll be shortchanged and your direct cost is going to be too high. Then we come to what we call the overheads, or SG&A. In accounting, we call it SG&A. It means selling, general and administrative expenses, or what we call overheads. So those are the things that are not directly attributable to the product that's going to the market. So if you have an accountant,
without which the product
cannot go to the market. So the name speaks for itself: selling, general and administrative expenses. So selling, if you decide to market it, you decide to print a leaflet, you decide to print a flyer, all those are overheads. You decide to employ an accountant to come and help you pay your account, that's an overhead cost. And then you have administrative expenses. So the things, your stationery and all the stuff that you have in your office, they are selling administrative expenses. And then you get your profit. Now what's important is that over time, you'll be buying what you call fixed assets. Make sure that the fixed asset that you bought, you are not charging all of them in one financial year. So if you buy a car, don't say I sold let's say sobolo 20,000 Ghana cedis the whole year, but I bought a car that cost me 25,000 because you were distributing with an Uber vehicle, and so, or some Toyota vehicles, small size, and then you bought for 25,000. So when you deduct your sales of 20,000, or you deduct your Uber or the vehicle cost of 25,000 from the sales of 20,000, you made a loss.
A loss.
No, the vehicle is supposed to be depreciated over a certain period, let's say 4 years.
4 years,
So make
5
sure you
years
charge a portion of it in that financial year. I think that's very important. But I think that shouldn't be your headache if you have an accountant or a professional who is helping you prepare your projection. I think where I've seen a lot of risk in business plan is this projection. One, the projections are not granular. So he's not telling how much he's selling his product for. He's not telling how many quantities he's selling for. All that he says is that Ghana's inflation is down 25%. So next year, my sales is going to increase by 25%. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. How many bottles are you going to sell in a year? And how much are you going to sell them for? It has to be granular.
Are you going to work your way to achieving that?
To achieve that.
I mean, I'll give you an example. There was someone here on the show, I think last week, who was talking about the first business they got. And they were into pizza. They were talking about, instead of doing pizza in boxes, they were doing, I think it was Christian. Christian, good afternoon to you. He says they decided to do pizza in slices.
Okay.
And their first order was 1,000 pieces of pizza.
Wow.
Now, they didn't ask themselves, how are we going to do it?
Yeah.
They thought, we've only received, the largest order we've got was probably like 75 pieces or 100 pieces.
Yes.
So 1,000 is huge, we can do it.
Yes.
They didn't ask the how question.
Yes.
So long story short, they spent a whole time preparing and they came up with 350 slices.
Wow.
But that was them maxing out on their capacity. And that brings it back to the point you're making, that when you look at the how and you are granular, data is what it is. It doesn't lie.
Yeah.
You will not punch above your weight. And even if you are, there are accepted margins of deviation. So you don't say that I can do 1,000 when you can do 350. Your projections will tell you how much you can do based on the how.
Yes. Yes.
And I just want us to hit there a bit more
yes,
so that people understand.
So I think that's very important, because a lot of businesses, even when they are taking orders, are not mindful of their constraint. So in business, we call limiting factors. If you say that you'll be able to supply someone, let's say, 50,000 bags of maize, because you have been importing from like Kintampo or somewhere in the north, and your warehouse can only take 20,000 at a time, it means that you should factor in the cost of renting an extra warehouse. And so as businesses, we should be able to tell our story, because your story is what you are speaking through your financial statement. I'll also give you an example of someone who is also doing a pharmaceutical business, very small one. He only has 2 outlets. Now, when he did his projections, he was projecting to add 3 more outlets. So the question I asked him was, how much does it cost to set up another outlet?
It's 150% of what he was doing.
Yes. So he says that for every new outlet I add, I get an increase in my top line by 25%. The investors were so impressed. You can see that every time he opens a new shop, his sales increase by a certain percentage. And so he says that if he's adding 5 more, his sales should increase by a corresponding percentage.
It's not just simple proportions.
Yes. So you are able to tell that story. You don't just put some blanket statement and say, oh, every year I'll grow my sales by 50%. It has to be granular. It has to be driven by a certain quantity. That's.
I'm going to be asking you a question about partnerships on the issue of background very shortly. I'm deliberately keeping the conversation simple because today we're focusing on how to build a credible business plan. And I think it's absolutely important that people understand the processes of doing it and doing it right, so that we're able to get all the benefit from it. We want to take a quick message from our sponsors. When we come back, we'll get interactive and we'll get our listeners to be a part of this conversation. But before that, we'll take a quick message. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass here on your Superstation. I'm spending time with Yaw Appiah Lartey of Deloitte, Ghana, and we're talking about how to build a credible business plan. Phone lines are now open. Numbers to call 0302216541. That's 0302216541. You can also send us your comments on 05511119997. That's 05511119997. Like we always say here on the show, life is too short to make all the mistakes yourself. So let's learn from each other. Pick up the phone, give us a call. We're back to the classroom. Business 101, how to build a credible business plan. How did you build your business plan when you started? What has changed now based on what you've heard so far? And what other things can you add to this conversation so that others who are listening can't become better for it. We're waiting for the phone lines to ring. Numbers to call 0302 216 541. Before the phone lines ring, though, if you've got any motor vehicle of any kind, GOIL has great news for you. GOIL is rewarding all of its prepaying Go customers with up to 2 pesos litre discount on all fuel purchased. Elevate your goodness by joining the GOIL Go Club today and enjoy up to 3 pesos litre discount on all fuel purchased. Visit any GOIL filling station or go to the GOIL website at registration.goil.com.gh. GOIL, good energy. GOIL, Igenara, Igedia. Phone lines are open. Today's show is brought to us by GOIL, good energy. GOIL, Yenara, Yedia, and also brought to us by GCB, your bank for life. Numbers to call again 0302 216 51. I've got a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to Masterclass. Your name and where you're calling from.
My name is William.
Yes, good afternoon. Talk to me, my brother. Your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, I'm called William. I'm calling from Tema.
Good afternoon, William. How is Tema this afternoon?
Yeah, it's very sunny.
Very sunny.
Yeah.
We thank God.
Yeah.
We thank God. Talk to me, William.
All right. So I want to know if there is a consultancy, or maybe your host there has a consultancy where we can go to get proper understanding of the business plan, no matter you're talking about.
The answer is yes, but I'll let him talk about Deloitte Ghana. Yes?
Yes. Yeah, so that's a very good question. So Deloitte, we got a program that was sponsored by Mastercard to advise SMEs on how to build business plan, how to assess market and all. So they can reach out or they can come to our offices. If we register you and you are part of the SME program, we help. I think these are done for free actually.
Okay.
And you'll be amazed when we did it for free. People still feel to show up or
no, but my listeners on Masterclass, they will come.
They will come. Okay.
They'll come.
So
how do they find you?
Yeah, so we are on the George Walker Bush Highway, next to the Taylor Building. So on your way, let's say down the motorway extension, you can find.
Or just go on Google.
Yeah,
these days you can find everything on Google.
So we call it the Deloitte place. Yes.
Right. Okay. I've got another caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to Masterclass. Your name and where you're calling.
Yeah. Good afternoon, boss. I hope you're doing well.
I'm well, thank you. Your name, sir?
Yeah. This is Ajima Joseph from tonight, sir.
Oh, my brother. How are you?
I'm very strong.
Talk to me.
Yeah. Thank you, and thank you for your guest for taking the time to explain things to us.
Right.
But my small question is, you're talking about buying our ingredients or the things that you may need to prepare whatever largely so that you get discounts and it will be a profit. If my business is small, such that if I'm to buy that large quantity of ingredients, it might not be helpful or it might end up rotten. So for this matter, do I need to increase my customer base already before doing this business? Because though I need to buy them in bulk, but the business is small. How do I go with this bulk purchase?
Right. Okay. Brilliant question. Just keep listening. We'll try and answer that. Ajima Joseph wants to know the suggestion we made about bulk purchases. I know it's relevant to context, but just quickly, if you can just answer that for him. I've got another caller.
Yeah. Okay. So that's important. So I think you don't need to buy in bulk if your demand is at a certain level. Yeah. So just monitor your stock and make sure you are buying to meet your demand. Okay. And also sign on long-term contract with your suppliers so that at least you have you always have access to it when you order for it.
Okay, I've got another caller on the line. Good afternoon. Welcome to Masterclass. Your name and where you're calling from.
So my name is Charlotte. I'm calling from
Right, Charlotte, talk to me. You're welcome to Masterclass.
I have a business plan in place. I'm not looking at any investors, but listening to the theory, the business rules, how you make business fluid, and looking at the profile of company. You are looking at getting professionals on the team and others. Can you really advise governance issues and all?
Sorry, Charlotte, I think your line was not too clear, but if I caught a bit of it, you were going through the list that he had shared today, and you wanted a bit more information on that. If that's correct, you can just send us a message to confirm so that we can do that.
Yes, I'm saying that I run a business,
Right.
It's a sole proprietorship. So, how do I I'm trying to place what you are discussing into this. I have a business plan in place, and I'm trying to see how I'll place them in. Maybe
this relates to what you're doing. Okay, all right. Please keep listening. We'll try and answer that. So she wants to know, we just sort of put up a bit of a profile on how to write a credible business plan. She runs a school already. She wants to know how this situates in her context. So, for example, if she were doing this all over again, if she was starting and she was going to look for financing, how do these pointers, governance framework, products and services, procurement, concentration risk, market strategy, how do they relate to her specific situation?
Yeah, so that's a very important question. So I can put it in the context in which she's asked the question. So first, you start with your products. Your products are the schools or the curricula that you offer in your school. Yeah. So you are using the training that you offer. So if, let's say, it's only for nursery, primary, JSS, just indicate that those are your products. Yeah. And then you would have a description of the school. So you have to describe the school, the background, when you started the school and all. Your team are your staff. So you would have some staff members who have certain qualifications. That is an international qualification and so on. So you should be able to describe that. And then you come to the key regulations. You are regulated by Ghana Education Service. You will probably be certified by the Ghana Accreditation Board or Ghana Education Service. Indicates all of that. So I think it's just being able to transfer that to meet your marketing strategy.
How are you putting yourself out there? So is it on Facebook? Are you doing media? Yeah. Are you announcing? And your competition, what are the other schools available within your locality and all that?
And what kind of strategy you have to bring the kids on board? So some of them, they also have like siblings arrangements. So if you bring your other siblings, there's a discount for that. And so those are all your marketing strategies.
You mentioned governance framework. What is the governance system? The headmaster is the one with authority. When she's not there, who else handles what? Yes. Is there a segregation of duty? Yeah. Finance is not, everything is not headmaster.
And who are the board members in your school? Because that's very, very important. I mean, there has to be discipline, and it's the board members sometimes that implement this discipline.
Okay, all right. I hope we've been able to help a bit, Charlotte. I've got another caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're welcome to Masterclass. Your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, good afternoon, and my name is Michael.
Good afternoon, Michael. Talk to me.
Yes, I have set up a shop, and the shop has cost me so much that after finishing the shop, the only money I have left is 5,000. Now, I want to sell liquor, like going to buy liquor products and then selling it. I'm not opening a bar, not a drinking bar, but a liquor. Now, when I went to the market, I realized that the 5,000 that I have is way inadequate. And I am thinking of entering into a partnership with someone so that we can have the thing started. But I hear your guest saying that it is better to get an accountant to put the business into better perspective. So now I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. The 5,000 is inadequate to get the product. So now my question to your guest is that, should I still stick with the 5,000 and go for the product, or I should go for the partnership, or what should I do?
Okay, brilliant question. Please keep listening. Can we do this in 30 seconds? I've got a few more comments on social media.
Okay, good. So there are so many ways of starting your business, and I think your 5,000 may be inadequate because after buying the product, you have to market. You have to find a place to store them. So please consider partnership. But whenever you are considering partnership, don't go for any debt. It's too early to borrow from someone. Bring a partner who is ready to share the risk with you. He says that, okay, have 40% and let me take 60%. So you give 40% to the person brings some money, so your 5,000, the person can bring 4,000, the person can bring another 5,000, and you start the business. So go for equity when you are starting a business, where the person is ready to share the risk with you, rather than right from day one, you are paying interest. So that's an option that
I've got a last caller. Yeah. Good afternoon, you're welcome to Masterclass. Okay, I think I've lost that call, but I've got questions on social media. This is from Rukaya inside Hatch. Good afternoon, Yaw. Great education today. Please, what is the difference between a business plan and a strategic plan?
Excellent question. So I think a lot of business owners have got strategic plan. Strategic plan is a rolling business plan. So year on year, you update the strategic plan to fit a particular year. But a business plan, you prepare for a short-term period for a purpose. So you are either going to use it to raise capital, you are using it to bring a partner into the business and all. So once that is done, the business plan needs to be updated, or you have to use it for a different purpose. But a strategic plan is prepared year on year. So for most business or corporate institutions, they go out what they call strategy session. They go to Akosomo, Ebri or somewhere. After they've gone to that session, they come back with a strategic plan, which is going to what we call execution plan for the financial year. So right from January to December, what they are going to do to achieve their targets, their plans, and so on and so forth. So strategic plan is more like a rolling business plan, which is updated year on year.
So a business plan is a purpose-driven document to achieve a specific purpose. A strategic plan is a rolling business plan. I like that. This one is from Edem from Tema. Good afternoon to you, Edem. Thanks for the refresher course on how we can properly prepare a bankable business plan. Thanks for the composition of the board to cover all key professionals. Lastly, regulations and corporate governance part for me is key to performance and to avoid conflict of interest instances. I congratulate our experts, our resource experts, for his smooth delivery. Thank you very much. That was Edem from Tema. I've got a few more comments on social media. This one is from Na from Spintex. Now I'm waiting for the day you call me. Na says, wow, this is a thorough class, Pa. I've learned so much. His point about upcoming laws and regulations is going to be made more real in Ghana. But government says they are considering taxing people who advertise on social media. Some of us have started rethinking and replanning. Then about all the different people needed in the business from different fields. Can't one be a jack of all trades and still be a viable business for investors? Question. For example, I may have training and a certified degree in design, marketing, and accounting, etc. Do I need to employ people for the things I can do myself? So she asked 2 questions. Can she be a jack of all trades? Does she need to employ people for the things she can do herself? You can just do that for me in about 30 seconds.
Okay, so thank you very much. So you can be a jack of all trades, and I think there are so many people who are wearing different hats, we call it. So they are lawyers, they are accountants, and they are also business advisors. But I tell you, you can't do all of it at the same time. Sometimes there's a legal document that has been sent to you, and there's a transaction lawyer on your board. He's able to see it better than you because probably you are a lawyer, but you do a lot more litigation. And the transaction lawyer is able to review that document. And so it's better to bring people from diverse background. And the second reason or advantage of that is they come with an independent view. Sometimes as business owners, if you want to buy an asset or you want to buy a car, you are so fixated on it that you just go and buy. Someone says, look, this car, it's not quality. It cannot even be used for the purpose for which you are buying. So you have independent people on the board who are independent minded. They are not going to.
So there are benefits that come to play when you get other people involved.
Other people. So you need to bring other people.
Independent of opinion and of thought. Brings integrity.
And my point, to address your point, you don't need to employ them. They are your board members. So occasionally, I was sitting on a board where you used to meet on Sundays after church. And it was convenient for all the board members. Yeah. So it's a convenient time for the board members. You don't need to employ or pay them. For the first 1 year, because it was a friend, you were not taking anything. Yeah. So just talk to your friends who are ready to help you grow your business.
Great. Yeah. I've got Frederick from OEBST. Frederick says, great program. Please let him go over the areas of the business plan. The areas the business plan must cover for me. I got distracted along the way. I think you talked about having your background, which is where your business has started from, the team that you have in place, your governance framework, your products and your services, your procurement and manufacturing policy, the concentration risk, looking at not putting all your eggs in one basket, diversifying that so that if something hits you, you're able to rise again. Your marketing strategy, the competition that you're dealing with, who else is in that space with you, and then your regulators of the laws that are coming. That was what he said. This one is, you didn't add your name. He says, hello, JB Masterclass. I missed the start of the show. Hope to get a quick recap before it ends. The show will be available on our Facebook page. You can watch all of it after the show. That way you get a lot of the information. This is Charlotte. I think we spoke with Charlotte, but she says, I'm listening with rapt attention to your conversation, Masterclass. I run a creche and I'm wondering how I can place your lecture appropriately. Charlotte from Valley Side Creche. I think that we tried to juxtapose that in your situation. I hope that the answers helped. Okay, so I think I've got a few more comments on Facebook. I'll try and get those quickly. But while we're doing that, what is our takeout for today? If we remember nothing from today's conversation, what should we remember?
So I think what's important in building your business plan is we are looking for credibility, or what we call bankability. And credibility is driven by telling the story as it is. I've seen a lot of businesses try to hide numbers, try to hide information. And I've seen a lot of investors walk away from partnership. even on a day before the guys made commitment or put capital in the business, they walk out of the business because some information were hidden. One, if the business is not your business, just be clear and tell your potential investor. Two, if you are preparing your accounts, don't forge the numbers. Please, it's very, very important. It's a credibility issue. If right from day one you did not make the sales and you go and put it out there that you've made the sales, that is something that kills investor interest. And then secondly, if you do not have the market share, don't go and say you have the market share. Don't put things that do not belong to you in your business plan.
So then we can check things out easily. So there's no need to lie.
There is no need to
I've
lie.
got a comment on Facebook. Let's see if we can do this one quickly. It says, our problem is that, this is from Ebenezer Bonzi. He says, our problem is that after preparing the business plan, getting the equity financing is a problem. How do we go about getting equity funding after the business plan?
Excellent. So there's a process that you go through to get equity financing. Equity financing takes not less than 6 months for someone to put his money in your business. Debt financing is shorter because debt financiers usually go for a collateral. They will ask you to put something in lieu of payment of your debt. So equity financiers bring the money and they are taking on the risk with you. So if Yaw starts a business, he decides to bring Kofi on board. The money that Kofi is bringing, he's not giving you a loan. You are saying Kofi should come and partner with you so that he shared 50-50. Kofi will not just put his money in. He wants to understand what you are doing. He wants to understand the risk involved and all. So equity financing takes longer. But I think for you to get the right equity partner, be open, be transparent, and go with a lot of integrity. I've seen a lot of equity partners, even foreign equity partners, that have pulled out of a business because some information were hidden. There were issues in court that were not disclosed. And so later when they got to know, they pulled out of the business. Be transparent.
I didn't sign up for this.
They didn't sign up for that. And the land that they were operating on, they didn't own it. And yet they had stated that it was their land.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time. That's all time will allow us. But we're back here again on your radio next week. We continue this conversation. Hopefully, Yaw Appiah Lartey will be with us as we continue in this series. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you same time next week.